that Britain and America were intervening in Syria in the interests of human rights. How could that possibly be? Britain and America are the biggest supporters of dictatorship in the Arab world before and now. Some people thought that the reason for the enmity towards Syria was because it had one family rule. Well, every single member of the Kuwaiti cabinet has the same name. Every ruler in the history of Saudi Arabia comes from the same family. So it really can't be that, can it? It can't be because you have a minority religious sect which contains much of the power or holds most of the power in Syria, can it? Because we are arming the dictatorship in Bahrain, where a tiny minority religious sect holds almost all of the power. It can't be, can it, for any of those reasons. The real reasons are that they want to bring down the Syrian regime because that regime doesn't follow their orders, won't surrender to Israel, won't kick out the Palestinian resistance from Damascus, won't end its relationship with the Lebanese national resistance, which remains the only Arab army ever to defeat Israel in military conflict, a victory which it could not have won but for that strategic alliance that it had with Damascus. They want to bring down the Syrian regime because it didn't play ball on the invasion and in the subsequent occupation of Iraq. So these people play these sectarian games, and even those currently benefiting from it should beware. People in the House of Commons who don't know where Saudi Arabia is on the map have approached me over the last year or so, and especially in the last few weeks, asking about the Hijaz and Najd. I was astonished. How do they even know these terms? Suddenly they learned these terms. Why? Because already they're thinking, maybe we have to divide what is called Saudi Arabia, and maybe we have to tell the Shiites in the eastern province that actually we might be prepared to support you having your own country because you've got all the oil, and we're not all that interested in Mecca and Medina, believe me. The West is very happy to leave that to the Arabs and the Muslims. What they are interested in is Saudi Arabia's wealth. And if it becomes unstable enough in Saudi Arabia, you will discover a new love in the West for the oppressed Shiites in Saudi Arabia. Trust me on that. It's already beginning to happen. We'll hear about the oppression of the Shiites in the eastern province. We'll hear about the scandal that it is that they should be governed in the way by these Wahhabi fanatics. So nobody is safe from this kind of division. Nobody is safe from this kind of sectarianism. And what will be the result? Instead of 23 Arab countries, we'll have 33 or 43 or 63. We won't have countries at all. We'll have emirates like the one currently visible, emerging in Libya after the NATO bombardment and the overthrow of the Gaddafi dictatorship. It would suit them well, because then they could divide and rule the Arabs for another 100 years most securely. Thank you very much. You have to know this. The West has no interest in Islam. The West has no interest in differences in Islam. The West has no differences no interest in the situation of Christians in the Middle East. We used to hear it in Lebanon. The West was supporting the Christians in Lebanon. But they're not supporting the Christians in Syria, who are terrified at the possible victory of an Al-Qaeda type insurrection there. They're not supporting the Christians in Palestine, almost all of whom have been given green cards to leave the country and forget it. Please don't think that they care about your religions. Please don't think that they care about your confession, your particular sect. They only care about continuing to own and control the Arab world because of the wealth which lies underneath it and because of the strategic importance which it holds and continues to hold.